Hello, good evening, friends and neighbors. This is your Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. Welcome those who are joining us from Facebook, Faisal Hassan NDP, and those who are joining us also Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also YouTube and LinkedIn. Welcome. And before I begin, I would like to acknowledge at this time the land that we know as York Southwestern is the traditional territory of many nations, including the Mississaugas of the Credit, the Anishinaabe, the Chippewa, the Haudenosaunee, and the Wendat peoples, and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuits, Métis people. Welcome, folks, those who are joining us on Instagram and also a Facebook page, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also Twitter and YouTube. Welcome, welcome. And folks, this week has been a busy week, and I meet with you every Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. to update you what's happening in our community and also to share the work of the week at the legislature and also in the community, but also to hear your comments and your concerns as well. Well, the Ford Conservatives released this week their financial plan for the province, and he's just been thinking about his buddies, get whatever they want, and you get none of what you need, folks, right here in our community, and nothing to address skyrocketing housing cost, and also nothing to make childcare more affordable in this plan from Ford Conservatives, and nothing to lower the painfully high prices of auto insurance. And I've talked about auto insurance also in many meetings on Fridays here, and because also our postal code discrimination has nothing to lower painfully the high price of auto insurance, because many of the members of our community are paying higher premiums because of the postal code discrimination. Also, there are nothing to tackle also out of the control gas prices as well, and nothing to help with soaring hydro bills for everyone. And that's unfortunate. Quickly, those who are joining on Facebook, welcome. Frank, welcome. Good evening, says Brother Faisal. Ivan, welcome. Welcome, Susine Armitage. Paula, welcome. Paul, welcome. And folks who are joining also Instagram, Alex Sanders, welcome. And Gulet, welcome. And nothing also to urgently hire and retain tens of thousands of healthcare and long-term care workers. Nothing to help with soaring hydro bills, and also nothing to help kids bounce back or stay safe in school. Instead, Ford cut another 500 million from education, and that's unacceptable, folks. Cutting education and healthcare, and nothing to quickly clear the massive surgery backlog and help people in pain. Well, folks, if the NDP were in government, we would invest in making life more affordable, protecting workers, not for his friends and buddies, supporting local businesses, not big box stores, and strengthening healthcare and education in our community and in our province. Well, folks, Dark Ford's budget, none of what you need now, folks. No help on sky high housing and hydro bills, no help on childcare costs, no help on gas and auto insurance prices, and no urgent investments in healthcare and education in our community. Well, an NDP government will invest, making life more affordable, protecting workers, not Ford's friends, supporting local businesses, and not big box stores, strengthening healthcare and education. Well, that is quickly to update you on the Ford's upcoming budget. Basically, it has nothing for families and for our community as well. Well, folks, I want to also update you what I have been doing this week. I held last Friday, I hosted rather an important discussion on dispute between the province's province, Ontario's optometrist in the province this past Friday. And I was happy to be joined by a local optometrist, Dr. Heather Shear, and also local residents, Louisa Giacometti, as they discussed the impacts of the MPPs on themselves and our community. You can also watch that on my YouTube, and also you can also watch on Facebook as well, too, if you have missed on last Friday. Also, quickly announcement as well, quickly about we're also accepting applications for the second round of annual MPP Faisal Hassan Youth Council for York Southwestern. It is now open, and our young people can apply Faisal Hassan MPP Youth Council for York Southwestern, which is providing an exciting opportunity for young people to highlight ways our community can be better and identify ways we can support young people across this province. If you are a young person between the ages of 16 and 24, and you're interested in making an impact in your community, in our community, please fill an application and send it to us, to our attention, and we'll be happy to invite you for next year's Youth Council. And welcome also Salat, and welcome Sadia as well for joining, and also Mama Biaru, also welcome joining us also Instagram. Well, folks, the cost of also PCR testers, I've also talked about this week at the legislature. Residents of York Southwestern have alerted my office of travel PCR test costs that far exceed the cost of many other countries around the world, with costs such as $250. Families traveling for funerals, weddings, or other purposes should not be taken advantage of. Almost of all lab tests performed in this province are done by private companies that are funded by the province. In the absence of competitive lab testing to ensure low prices, it is up to the government to set up reasonable but test prices. With COVID-19 tests are covered by OHIP, why then are mandatory PCR tests for travel not regarded as the same? I will continue, neighbors and friends and brothers and sisters, I will continue to press this issue and also advocate that the Ministry of Health take action immediately, because it's important that we cover this through OHIP. And also, folks, our city has been in the grips of a housing crisis for several years. People are worried. I hear from many of you on this issue, and I'm always amazed at the broad range of people that this issue is affecting directly. I hear from seniors who have been forced from their homes because they cannot afford the rising rent on their fixed incomes. Some are forced to rely on local food banks for support. I hear from parents who are working long hours to provide for their families, and they are still finding it tough to make ends meet. Housing costs are eating up a bigger portion of their household budget, leaving less and less room for groceries, bills, and other necessities. Some parents are concerned the dream of home ownership is slipping away from their children. People on ODSP and Ontario Works know that the support they receive falls far short of the cost to live in a city like Toronto. More and more people are being displaced and forced to live in conditions that are unsafe and all fall short of what families need. The scale of the problem is immense and requires urgent action, and that is why I was so happy to be at the legislature this week to support a motion to take on the billionaires, investors, and real estate speculators here in Ontario. There are steps we can take today to address some of these challenges: the speculation and vacancy tax on people or businesses that don't pay taxes in Ontario will ensure that housing is made for people, not just profit. Controlling the amount that landlords get from jacking up rent between tenants will keep rent down. And also de-incentivize landlords who hold back on unit repairs in the hopes they can force out long-term tenants. There are tools in our toolbox. We need a government that is prepared to get to work. This issue is too critical, and waiting for the next election for a plan won't cut it. We need to take bold action now. And our housing proposal, if you haven't checked out, folks, please check it out because I have talked about this as well many weeks. You can check it on ontariondp.ca. And our housing proposal aims to address the crisis in a fundamental way. It contains innovative proposals to help everyone find a home they can afford. It will help first-time home buyers with their down payment by providing a shared equity loan of up to 10% of home's value. And it provides direct financial support to tenants, calls for real rent control, and includes measures to stop unfair evictions being used by bad faith landlords to displace families. It calls for major investments to create 69,000 new affordable homes while extending the lifespan of 260,000 affordable homes through badly needed repairs. In short, our plan takes on the billionaires, friend speculators, and bad faith developers who have made the market unaffordable for regular folks. Our plan invests in you, wherever you live, whatever your financial situation is, your age, identity, or ability. You deserve a safe, secure place to call home you can afford. I look forward to continuing my support of this plan, which will offer so much hope to so many that desperately need it. Well, folks, welcome those who joined. I see folks also eager to also comment, and I'll just share some of them. Instagram, Zami says, keep going. Well, thank you. And also here, Ahmad says, hello, hello, Mr. Hassan. I have a quick question in regards to the recent minimum wage increase done by the Conservative government. The NDP have advocated for $15 minimum wage, but now they are asking for 17 minimum wage. Why doesn't your party settle for 15 since the raise in cost is only temporary? Well, the inflation cost is 3.1%, my friend. But I think let's also talk, Ahmed, a bit about where we are with regards to minimum wage. You see, in 2017, the Kathleen Wynne, the Liberals had for 15 years, but their last time, because of a cynical situation where they wanted for re-election, she legislated $14.45, and also said that in January 1st of 2019, the minimum wage will gradually become $15. And when Doug Ford came to government and in power in 2018, guess what he did? What he did was he canceled the minimum wage 15 and cut a lot of education and healthcare, and he hasn't even supported. He eliminated also the 2 days that Kathleen Wynne brought for minimum wage, even though they had 15 years to be on the side of the working people and workers and so forth. So what did he do? He canceled it, and now what he's trying to say is that because next year is going to be an election, and now all of a sudden he's saying that I am friends to workers. Guess what? I think if you look at it, if he allowed gradually what previously was decided in this coming year, the minimum wage should have been like 16 or 17, and that's exactly what you're hearing about. You're hearing about it would have been gradually that, roughly 16 to 17 in January 1st. But it's not going to be 16 or 17. It's going to be a $15, my friend. And that is where the challenge and the problem is, because like the Liberals under Kathleen Wynne, they were playing politics rather than doing the right things. Finally, the last minute, they raised and they had a plan to January 1st. And what did he do? He cut that, he cancelled it, and now he's saying that he's going to allow it again. That is basically a delay again. And in Toronto, it has been said that the living wage is estimated close to $22, But I say, the workers deserve better. And I think we need to make sure that we don't play politics like he is doing, because if he is for the workers, he should have done that. He should not have cancelled it, and he could have actually supported workers by providing sick days. We know that a lot of frontline workers, many of whom live in our community, they were essential workers, and when they get sick, they cannot afford to stay home because there is no sick pay for workers. And he also eliminated that as well. And we have called for 10 days and also 14 for pandemic period. But he hasn't done that. And that is also another problem. But to me, I think it would have been right January next year, around 16 or 17 would have been. And think about it also, Ahmed, the inflation is about 3.1%. And also, when you talk about also the frontline workers, our heroes, he calls them champions and heroes, that are workers that have been now also hurt, Bill 124, and that also we need to repeal it, and also to respect workers as well in that regard. Well, thank you for your question. I really appreciate it. And Ahmed says again, thanks for clearing things up. The NDP should be advocating for raising the minimum wage gradually so wages rise with cost of living. Well, I think we, the workers, have been struggling. Life has not been affordable, as you know, and no one can afford. And I've said also earlier, no one can even afford. Children, parents are worried about their children buying a property in a community or a city in which they grew up. There is no chances and opportunity. That's why we are putting our plan for you to review it, and also to have a bold, a practical, and also doable plan that is our housing plan, so that we give communities options to also able to afford a place to live or a place to call home. Well, folks, those of you who are just joining, you are joining your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, brothers and sisters, neighbors and friends, welcome. And I have been joining you since March last year during the pandemic to bring to you updates about what's happening in the community, and also to share information and what I have been doing about the legislature, as well also in the community. So those who are just joining us, welcome. And folks, if you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please do so. And that's also, you can check it also, other videos of debates and statements, members' statements, and also question periods. Questions I have asked also is there. You can also check it on my Facebook page as well. And also, long-term care is a big issue, and we cannot afford also, folks, to make money on the backs of our seniors. We need to fix it, long-term care and home care. We've seen what the military reported. It's time to end these profit maximization of this, and our seniors deserve respect. They deserve also care of minimum care of 4 hours daily, so that we invest care and service on our seniors. Well, the recent also announcement from the Ministry of Long-Term Care has once again shown the government's willingness to protect for-profit operations. It does not change the quality of life for seniors and people with disabilities. It does not give them more care. It does not change the fact that for-profit companies can warehouse them in facilities and cut corners to rack in more cash and more profit. And also, it does not even guarantee them the air conditioning they have been suffering without. And we have said this. We have written letters to the minister, previous minister, with these specific issues. And thank you to the people who have contacted me, voicing their displeasure with this bill. I will not be supporting anything that falls short of treating seniors with dignity they deserve. And this bill falls short of that. And also, Margaret Hold, welcome, Margaret Hold. How are you doing? And Margaret Hold says that $15 is only $2,121 a month after tax. Just look at a rent in Toronto, the rising prices of groceries, consumer goods, etc. This should be more housing geared to income similar to city homes or co-ops. I have never seen so many people living on the streets in my life. It is dehumanizing for all of us to pass by so many out in the cold. Well, Margaret Hall, thank you very much. You had the nail on the head. That's so true, and you're right. And Ahmed just was asking about minimum wage question, and I think you're right. And inflation is 3.1, and people cannot afford life. Things are getting harder and harder. Definitely, we need a government that puts people first, for workers, for families and communities. And definitely, we need to support people and also raise the minimum wage and also provide other supports, investing in co-ops, affordable housing. And recently, there have been a confusion about what does it mean affordable housing. We need also to be clear about that and make sure we define it. Does it mean 30% of your income? What does it mean? We need to make sure that it exactly means affordable, and so that people are not to worry about a roof over their head. Well, Margaret, thank you very much for joining, and thank you. Keep up the great work you're doing in the community, and appreciate it for asking me this evening a question. Folks who are just joining, you're a member, Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan, neighbors, friends, brothers and sisters, welcome. You're joining LinkedIn, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook page, Faisal Hassan MPP, and Instagram. Welcome you all. And also this week, folks, I had the opportunity to rise in the legislature to ask the Premier about the government's disastrous approach to cannabis retail in Ontario. And folks, residents and local business owners have raised concerns about the proliferation of cannabis location across our community, and for good reason. We have watched cannabis shops cluster in many communities, and some have opened close to local schools, and we know at least for 2 schools close to our community. And this is also is not right. It has been an issue of concern for some time now. This past August, as you know, folks, I hosted a virtual town hall on cannabis retail locations to shine light on community concerns and to discuss ways to improve the current state of regulations. There is a clear consensus throughout our community that things need to change, and more must be done to control and regulate the industry's impacts on our communities. When policies were being developed, the government chose its own path and ignored all of the constructive proposals that my colleagues and I presented at the time. We had an opportunity to provide well-regulated cannabis distribution throughout the responsible hands of the LCPO. We could have given municipalities and local business improvement areas better tools to make decisions and control the impacts on our communities. Instead, what we have seen is Wild West approach that has angered residents, altered the character of many neighborhoods, and left everyone disappointed. The government has made several obvious missteps on this file, but their stubbornness willingness to maintain the status quo cannot stand. The issue of cannabis retail must be dealt with in a way that is responsible and responsive to community concerns. There is little desire to return to the days of prohibition, but everyone I speak to realize that we can do a lot better as a province. In the response to my question, which you can also check it out, folks, on my YouTube, or you can also check it also on my Facebook page. The Ford government feels the proposals for the greater control of cannabis retail are simple red tape. That's what they call it. It is an approach that is completely dismissive of the community concerns, and one that I will continue to oppose. I will be supporting measures such as Bill 235, which calls for the process for new cannabis retail licenses to be aligned with that used for liquor licenses, and gives municipalities and local community a greater say in the licensing process. We need solutions to cannabis retail, and the government needs to stop burying their heads in the sand on important issues like this that is actually affecting in our community. And folks, Glenn Wood, welcome, Glenn Wood, for joining. Hope you're doing well, my friend. And those of you who are just joining, you are Member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan. Neighbors, friends, and brothers and sisters, welcome. I join you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and where we talk about the important issues of the week, the work I have been doing at the Ontario Legislature on your behalf, but also, to also take your comments and your questions about issues important to you and your community. And those who are joining us, you're joining Facebook page Faisal Hassan, NDP, and also Instagram, and also LinkedIn, and also Twitter, and also YouTube. So welcome, folks. And of course, we have seen the fall economic statement yesterday by the government. I've just highlighted a bit early on, but the government released its latest fiscal update, and it was most notable for the long list of issues that it failed to address. There was nothing in the budget to end Ford's low wage lit on the salaries, nothing to support local businesses to hire and expand. They are refusing to make life more affordable for everyday families struggling with the cost of housing, childcare, gas, and auto insurance, and skyrocketing hydro bills. We need to urgently hire, retain tens of thousands of healthcare and long-term care workers, clear the massive backlog of surgeries, and invest in our kids' safety and recovery at school, both academically and emotionally. And this announcement falls short in so many ways, folks. And that is the priority, folks, of this government. And this government shows their true colors. They're all about their buddies, their friends. Well, folks that are joining a Facebook page, welcome. And those also joining also Instagram, welcome. I know, folks, that I have talked about in many times here in this discussions in many occasions about the important issues of putting our community first. But what does this government do? They are cutting important services. They're cutting education. They're cutting healthcare, and also in climate. Climate crisis is a big issue, and there is nothing for this government to put for their budget or their fiscal budget this time, and it's not right. So that is the government's priority, folks. And in our community, we have many issues we've talked about in many occasions. We talked about childcare, for example. I said there's nothing for it. And I know that also the Liberals have said over 30 years they were talking about a childcare. Finally, the federal Liberals have a plan about childcare. But we have been advocating and asking this government, for the Conservatives, to sign a federal plan to make sure that we have a childcare that is $10 per day childcare, and it's doable, and that's also something we will deliver, and we will do it right away. And NDP government will be a priority as well. But folks, also we know that auto insurance has been a big issue. Many of you have written to me. I know that we had also a town hall meeting on this, and I have invited our auto insurance critic, my colleague and friend Kevin Yard from Brampton North, who have joined us here. And the problem of postal code discrimination continues in our community. I've also found out, on average, in our community, pays about $3,000 a year for auto insurance. Some pay more. I'm talking about only average. And it's not because they're bad drivers. It's not because they drive horrible cars. It's simply because it's a postal code discrimination. And this postal code discrimination must come to an end. And what have we done since the last 3 years and 6 months? Well, we have put bills and motions. I have put motions as well on this, on the books, and I've also talked about this in the legislature. I've also supported the bills that we put. My colleagues who have been also the critics of the auto insurance from Brampton East, Groton Singh, and also my neighbor to the north, Tom Rakosovich, on also eliminating a postal code discrimination. And what did this government do? What do? They simply voted down. They voted down, and now also we've been told they're thinking about also putting more barriers for working people by simply including credit history with auto insurance, and that has nothing to do with auto insurance. It's got nothing to do with it. And the driver's license and auto insurance and the history of credit has no relation to insurance or auto insurance, because it should be based on your driving record and also the car you drive, period. And also, they have been saying that there are other factors they're basing on a postal code discrimination, but we found out there's no evidence of what they have been preaching about. Is purely community discrimination. And we want that to end, because we cannot continue asking certain communities to pay higher auto insurance premiums than others. And that's not fair. It's not right. And it has to come to an end. And I will continue, folks, friends and neighbors, to oppose this, and also to fight and to advocate. And we have been doing that. We put a couple of bills and also a couple of motions to debate, and definitely an NDP government will look into this. But this government also have the opportunity to lower the auto insurance premiums in this their financial update or fiscal update, and it has nothing. We know that in the pandemic, people were parked their cars on their driveways, and no one was driving, because of the pandemic. Yet people were paying high premium rates for auto insurance. I know some of you have said you get some breaks, but majority of you said have not gotten it, and it hasn't been lowered. And for years and years, you remember the Kathleen when the Liberals have promised to lower the auto insurance. That was also another broken promise from the Liberals, who had the opportunity to do it right, to fix this. They haven't fixed it, folks. We know that also many promises they have broken, such as also saying that the Up Express here that goes through in our community will be electrified. And up to this day, it is not. It's not a clean trains. that pollutes our environment. There are diesel trains that goes through here. And that's also one of those promises. Also, you remember when they said they're going to also do it immediately, and they did not do so. So there are many things they have said they're going to do it, and also they make things tough. And you know that they had 15 years to do it right, and now we have this government who are also worse than them, to be honest. And now they are trying to also put a fiscal update, but it has nothing for ordinary people, you know. And I've talked about that. And here Chandal is joining Instagram. Welcome, Chandal, for joining me. Thank you. And says, good to see you. Well, likewise, good to see you too. Hope you're doing well, and hope everything is fine with you as well. Well, thank you, folks. You are joined, you're a member Provincial Parliament, Faisal Hassan live on Facebook, Faisal Hassan NDP, Instagram, Faisal Hassan NDP, and also Twitter, Faisal Hassan NDP, and LinkedIn as well, and also YouTube as well. So if you haven't subscribed my YouTube, please do so, because it also have tons of videos about what we have been standing up and fighting at the legislature with regards to member statements, question period, and also debates on bills and motions. So that's also another opportunity to also check them out there. And well, folks, thank you for joining me. And I have been continuing with you to update you since the beginning of the pandemic, because things have been tough, and many of you have been worried about the situations. And I have come to you directly to also be accountable to you, and also to bring the necessary information directly into your homes. And we have been doing that, and we'll continue to do this. And you have also asked me to change, because we used to do Saturdays. You said, let's do it on Fridays. And now we're doing evenings from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. And we have not canceled one single day. We continue to do that, and to make sure that we are accessible to you, so that we provide the informations and updates as well, and also take some of your comments and also your questions as well. For those of you who have asked some questions tonight, thank you, and I do appreciate them for those of you who have asked those questions, and also folks who also joining us also are welcome, and thank you. Well, I said that, you know, this budget has nothing for families, for ordinary people. And this is also a shame, that a government that sees we are in the middle of a pandemic, and people also are struggling. We talked about also in many occasions about housing, and housing has been a file that has been neglected the last 30 years. And just to give you an update, you know, it started when the federal Liberals said they have nothing to do with housing in 1996, you know, under John Crochet and Martin, his finance minister, and then prime minister. And they have continued to neglect that, and they have downloaded that housing file into provincial jurisdictions. And here at the time, Mike Harris was the premier. And what Mike Harris and Ernie Eves do, they download it to municipalities. You know, the provincial responsibility, they said also, like the Liberal federal said, that we have nothing to do with housing. So the crisis continued. They continued, and I know that our the mayor, His Worship John Terry, he's doing his best. You know, municipalities cannot handle the crisis in such a huge crisis of housing, and they're doing their best to manage. Their waiting list for affordable housing is over 100,000 people, and some people are waiting 18 years, some are waiting 20 years, some are waiting 19, and more, you know. And I've also recently met a young girl who is now 34 years old, and since she was 14, their family were waiting affordable housing, and to this day, they're still waiting. And that's the crisis we are in. And that's why, folks, we have put a plan, a housing plan, If you haven't read, please read it. Check it out, OntarioNDP.ca. There you will be able to find our housing plan. And our housing plan has, I like it so much because it has options for everybody. You know, those who can buy their own home, it provides them equity loans, equity loans of at least 10% of the value of the house. That allows them, if they are first home buyers, so to give them an opportunity to own a property, and those who cannot, then to build more co-ops, and also to fix also the formula for co-ops, because we don't want also the existing co-ops disappearing as well. We need to also make sure we fix it, that also, because many co-ops also struggling, when they finish their mortgages. What happens after that? They won't be eligible any supports and any support services as well. So we need to fix that once for all. And I think that we know exactly what we need to do on that, but also build more co-ops. We need to also put more affordable and also support people directly, those who need a direct support. Create some sort of also portability where people could go and feel more comfortable, and so on and so forth. Well, an NDP government, folks, will be making life more affordable, protecting workers, not for buddies and friends, but also supporting our local businesses and not for big stores, and also strengthening healthcare and education. We have seen this since this government came to power. They have cut education, they have cut healthcare, and they're continuing to do that. We also see now the privatizations of many aspects of our healthcare, even PCRs, just these testings for travelers to visit, a family or funerals or and so on and so forth. Now it costs about traveling about $250, but one test, and that test also is done by private companies as well. So now we don't want our public health being privatized. We need to stop this. An NDP government will definitely make sure our healthcare stays as our former leader and father of healthcare, Tommy Douglas, visioned it. And it should be inclusive. It should include eye care. It should include pharma care. It should include also dental care. And it should be also from head to toe, that it covers from head to toe, so that the healthcare is there. Also includes mental health. And mental health also is a big issue, folks. I haven't talking about the mental health issues. It's a huge issue in our community and across the province. And that's why we propose to have an entire ministry, to deal with this, so that we can focus on treatments and also transitional homes for those folks who need it, to provide them the medication, to provide them the training as they recover, and also fully able to support themselves, so that they will be able to be productive members of our community, so they can be trained and provided other supports and services. So having that entire ministry, having resources to tackle this issue is very crucial and is very important. And an NDP government will just do that, folks. And also, it's very important also we support our local businesses, because I've said this again and again, that small businesses are closer to our community. We have seen many small businesses like Perfectly Plain, a woman-owned business that just closed down. And that was very painful, because it was next to also my office. I used to frequent every day there. And many other businesses like Whiff, which has the best sambusas in Western, is gone. And many other businesses as well like that we have lost. These businesses are in the heart in our community and who we are. So supporting small businesses is crucial. Supporting mainstream is crucial. It's very important that we continue to provide them a third round of support. I know many of other businesses, such as the dry cleaners, were not included. They're struggling. Many of them locate in our community. One on also locates right there, close in Church and Western. Another locates right here in Western and Lawrence and cross our riding. Many of them are there. They were not included, the Ontario Small Business Grant. And that's a shame. Even though they were open, but there was no business for them, and that's another issue that this government hasn't been supporting businesses, and we need to get that the third round to these businesses. It's important that we focus small businesses, and small businesses, some of them just is one person's business sometimes, one person or two person, and it's a family businesses. We need to support this because this is who we are. It is also a part of the community. They contribute in charity, they help the community. It's very important that we support those small businesses, and NDP government will make that a priority. I've been working very closely with our 5 BIAs here in our community who have been advocating, and they have said our plan is the right plan. They have said it is headed in the right direction. But this government comes short of supporting small businesses and mid-sized businesses. And we have seen also during the pandemic closing down small businesses and opening big box stores. We've seen that, folks. And we need to make sure that these businesses are supported, And I said again, strengthening healthcare and education is very important because in our community we have the largest frontline workers, who come from our community. They are BSWs, they are nurses, they are doctors, and these folks have been putting their lives at risk. They have been there. They have been moving in services and supporting our community. Yet this government brings bills like 124 to cap 1%. The inflation is 3.1%. That is not a raise. That is a cut, folks, and continues to cut further. And this is not a leadership. And we need to repeal Bill 124. And NDP government will repeal that. Will repeal that, definitely. And also education. Our education workers, our teachers have been doing a fantastic job. They are putting themselves also supporting our children, our parents in our community. We need, and we said, we need to curb the class sizes to 15 per class, but also to invest these repairs that's required, to have ventilations and so forth. And I'm also happy that also some of our schools are getting some a gym and daycare, particularly St. Bernard Catholic school in our community. And also that the Nelson Boyle is now in the hands of the Catholic school rather than in the hands of the developers. And that's also, folks, is a good news. And that's also my intervention as well, and also making sure that these are also delivered for our community. Also, I know that also our beloved York Memo school that is also named after our fallen soldiers also needed to be rebuilt and built exactly how it was, its original structure, and so that the school remains there for another 60 or 90 or more years in our community, because it's a community hub, it's part of our community, and we are going to rebuild that school for our community because our kids need that school. We also need to also keep all those schools we have in our community, such as the George Harvey, because it also does an important function, because it also has a specialized category of education where it can also support our children. And we need also folks to stop selling schools, because we don't want to sell any more schools. we need to keep those schools in our community. If the public schools don't need it because of a surplus, then the first thing is the Catholic school needs it. If the Catholic school does not need it, then the community needs it. We can use it, a community hub, because we don't have community centers. Many community centers. It took about 40 years to have our York Recreational Center, and that long. And many communities in our community, we don't have many community centers. So we can use those schools if no longer is needed. We can use them other purposes to make sure the need of the community. But we don't want selling schools to highest bidder, and that has to come to an end, folks. And it has been happening more frequently. And I was told over 55 schools have been sold. And this is wrong. And definitely we need to put that also a priority as well. Well, folks, those who are just joining, you're joining your member provincial parliament, Faisal Hassan, and you're joining my Friday, bring your coffee and tea and any beverages you like, and let us talk and hear your concerns as well. Also, if you have any comments as well with regard to the week's work. And I think I might miss some folks' comments. I'll just check it in here. If there's any quickly from Facebook page. Well, thank you for joining. You are usually, I try my best to reach you, all those platforms. Now we are able to reach you on YouTube. If you haven't subscribed, you can subscribe it. Also Instagram, as well, also Twitter, LinkedIn, and also a Facebook page as well. So welcome, Rogel, welcome, Hakeem, welcome, and also Ahmed, welcome, and welcome you all, folks. Just recap, this fiscal update that the Minister of Finance announced yesterday has nothing to help with soaring hydro bills, folks. And it has also nothing to urgently hire and retain tens of thousands of healthcare and long-term care workers. We need to hire more PSWs, and also we need to rebuild Bill 124. And nothing to help with soaring hydro bills again, and nothing to tackle out of control gas prices. And that is still continuing, and is also unacceptable, folks. And nothing to lower the painfully high price of auto insurance either, because our community also have been targeted because of a postal code discrimination. And that has been continuing for years, folks. And that also has to come to an end. Nothing to make also for childcare and more affordable. So nothing to make a child care more affordable. And we've said that this government needs to sign quickly a federal negotiations, immediately a pact to move and make sure Ontario signs up for a child care $10 per day. It's very important that we do. And also nothing to address as well, skyrocketing housing cost. People cannot afford, a home. And we've seen also the tricks of some bad landlords. I'm not talking about mom and pop landlords. There are family landlords that are also struggling. I know that I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the bad landlords, big corporations that are taking advantage of people. And there are some good landlords, but the bad landlords is the one I'm talking about. And the cost of housing has been very expensive, and no one can afford it. In our community, it's been getting harder and harder. And next year also we need to freeze rent control, because things have been tough. People have lost their jobs, things are getting harder and harder, and we need to make sure that we make it life more affordable. Well, we've seen also Doug Ford just look after his buddies, get whatever they want, and you also get none of what you need now. You need childcare, you need eye care, you need dental care, you need pharma care. You need also to make sure that we invest in education, in healthcare, and Doug Ford is just looking after his friends. Well, folks, also it has nothing to help kids bounce back or stay safe in school. Instead, Ford cut another 500 million from education. So that's another thing also that is happening again, folks, unfortunately. Well, folks, an NDP government, will invest. I'll repeat again, an NDP government will invest in making life more affordable, protecting workers, not Ford's friends, supporting local businesses, not big box stores, strengthening healthcare and education. So those are priorities for us, folks. And those of you who have just joined, welcome. This is Faisal Hassan, your member provincial parliament for York Southwestern, joining you every Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. Bring your coffee and tea or any beverages you like, and let us talk. I have been updating you every week, my work at the legislature and what I have been doing in the community. And if you've missed those, you can always go back and watch them in YouTube and also on my my also Facebook page as well. So that's an opportunity for you to check it out. You can also always join me also if you are not connected to also social media platforms such as LinkedIn or Twitter or Facebook or Instagram. Then you can also just, if you have access to computer, you can just Google Faisal Hassan MPP YouTube, and you can join me live there every Friday from 7 p.m. So I'll be joining you every Friday to update you first about the work of the community, and also to share what we have been doing and in the community as well, and also to share other information. Just to also remind you, our young people on the ages of 16 to 24, and now we are also accepting applications for our youth council. Faisal Hassan MPP Youth Council is open, so people, young kids, young youth can apply. And we also have a fantastic team already that have been doing a fantastic job, who have actually was the first team to start on last year. Actually, they started January of this year, and they are continuing. They're doing a fantastic job, providing opportunity to learn the provincial government issues, and also advocating and connecting to the community and also young people in their community, and becoming an advocates of themselves for the issues matter to young people. And it's true that young people do not have platforms in their elected officials to provide them that kind of a forum where they could have that opportunity to work together and also have experience in the also provincial perspective or provincial jurisdiction. And that's also something, we will continue also next year for a new young folks in our community to continue that tradition as well. Well, folks, those who have been joining, those who have joined, thank you for joining me. I have joined you from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. and almost my time is up. But I wanted to say to you again, thank you for joining, and for also sharing your comments as well, and also joining me in Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn. And I will be also joining you again next Friday from 7 p.m. to 8 p.m. to hear me again, to talk about the issues of the week and the important issues that's happening in our community, and also the legislature. Next week will not be sitting because it will be a constituency week, but our work also continues. And I will be also joining you again from 7 to 8 p.m. Until then, my friends, brothers and sisters and neighbors, good night. Stay well, wash your hands. Make sure also you also practice social distancing until we come out of this. Okay. Thank you and good night. Then I'll talk to you later, and I'll see you again in this place again at 7 p.m. again 7 to 8 p.m. Next Friday.